Welcome. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Demystifying Gay Porn Podcast with IK Grande. I'm your host, IK Grande. And if you know me by now, you know I've been in the industry for 12 years. And if you've watched gay porn, I've definitely helped you get off. My guest this week is a model who just started working in the porn industry a little under 2 years ago. He is very, very well known for Family Dick and Mormon Boys, which if you haven't checked it out, they're quite a studio. So without further ado, Joel Someone.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, actually.
I'm very, very happy you agreed to do this. I know you saw us set up the Dolph Dietrich one and you were asking what we were doing, and you were already on my list. It was just, that day was not the day to do it. It was going to be my first one. And if shit went wrong, it would have been 3 interviews that were just off. So after listening to the Dolph one, there are a couple things that I was able, like that. See?
Ooh.
Yeah. So after listening to the Dolph Dietrich interview, there were definitely some things like banging on tables that I am very happy we did not do it that day. Let's talk about you. How are you doing today, Joel?
I'm great. It is extremely warm here in New York. Yeah. I'm melting just a little bit, but otherwise it's really wonderfully air conditioned in here. I'm doing great. I'm super happy to be here, and I was super excited to jump at a project that involves kind of a little more personality kind of based stuff, like getting to speak and hear people's stories.
You mentioned, or I mentioned, Family Dick and Mormon Boys. How did you get started with them?
It's the kind of thing that I used to be a huge consumer of porn before I got into porn. So this is me living my dream, actually. I started doing this industry when I was 30 years old, and I projected so much onto it. I projected like my hopes, my fears, and all of that kind of thing. Like it was everything to me. And so to get into it has been really surreal. And so I've noticed that one of the biggest things about doing porn is escorting. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I really focused on kind of like Family Dick and Mormon Boys is, to be frank, clients were asking about it. They were like, did you see this? Did you see that? And I like it because it's really, really raw. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of kind of really intense kind of things to it. So I enjoy that. I enjoy kind of being able to get into that headspace with people. And the other thing is intergenerational porn is really hot because it's not easy to work with people just starting, like working with 19 and 20-year-olds. You know this from working in the industry. Some of the old timers will be like, oh my God, I can't stand this.
Yeah. The first time I saw Mormon Boys was probably 2016. I could be wrong on the date. I'm not sure when they started. However, back in 2014, I wanted to start a site called Altar Boys, and nobody would touch it. Everybody's like, oh, I don't want to do it. You never know what's going to happen. Mormon Boys got exactly what they were like. They did it, and they got all of the publicity from it, good or bad. And people really like it. And then Family Dick, when I saw Family Dick, I was like, how much further? I didn't know they were the same company, but I was like, how much further can this go? And I watched it, and it's not stepfather fantasy. It's not stepbrother fantasy. This is legit. Let's talk about, brother on brother and father on son. And I got to tell you, growing up, there was always something hot about your older cousin or your, I never had a brother, but I can only imagine that whole big brother, small, like a younger brother scenario.
It's amazing. They're phenomenal to work with. I really feel like the fetish is initiation. Mm-hmm. It's the idea that someone is initiating you. It's, you know what I mean? As a boy and stuff like that, we all looked for someone to kind of teach us how to be gay and teach us these kind of lessons. Because as gay males, we grew up with obviously straight parents, and they had no concept of what gay sex was. And so the idea of like a father teaching his son, I know there's kind of like the very incestual kind of aspects of it, but there's also something really kind of interesting about, son asking about getting fucked in the ass or something like that, because it's something you need to know. It's something that the first time you do, just like losing your straight virginity, can be extremely embarrassing.
And it's also, there's a market for it.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And then also straight porn. If you watch, I see exactly what you're saying. You grow up and your parents are straight. I used to sneak into my father's room when he wasn't home and watch his VHS, and he didn't have gay porn in there. He had straight porn. So even to this day, when I'm jerking off or I need material, I watch straight porn. I guess gay porn is it depends on who's in it. If I find a model that I really, really like, I'll gravitate towards that, but I enjoy straight porn because that's what I grew up on. So I find those models, or and I'm not watching the girls. So Joel Someone, where did that name come from?
Joel Someone was my Craigslist hookup name back when I was with my partner. And so it was kind of like my sketchy little side name. And so I started using it because when I was interested in doing sex work, I needed an alias, and I couldn't think of anything. And I'll be frank, porn names are really, really like hard to remember, because in this industry, we all know people who have like 3 names and stuff like that. And so I'm a jokester. I'm one of those people who can take nothing seriously. And so I got the name Joel Someone because it's kind of something you've already half forgotten. Like, it's something your mother would say. You're like, he's doing film now. You know, his name, Joel Someone, or something like that. You know, it's funny to me. And so that was really the kind of gag for it until I've started doing films, and it's the who's on first happens a lot. Kind of like the old vaudeville gag. It's like, I'm filming with Joel today. Oh, cool. What's his last name? Someone. No, but what's his last name? And so that's happened several times on sets, and it makes me so happy.
What's the best company that you've worked with so far?
Well, you know, I and not to like totally suck your guys' dicks in front of you, I really do love working with you and Champ. You guys are a lot of fun. You work very consistently. Like, I notice you guys call me up. You're always excited that I'm in town. Yeah. And you really utilize that I'm like in the middle of the city, right next to everywhere you're filming. So I know that's kind of in your calculus as well. You're like, Joel Someone lives 2 blocks away. But I'm forever surprised. I'm forever surprised how kind of professional this industry is. Like, when you don't work in this industry and you watch it and you just hear the horror stories and you hear about this person and that person and these people and the way they work, you kind of think the worst. I've actually been really shocked at kind of the brotherhood that there is, and sisterhood. You quickly learn there's a lot of women working in this industry as well. And so it's all very different, but I do love working with you guys because you offered this platform to me. I am so grateful to be able to speak to this experience.
Yeah, cool. Worst company that you've ever worked for?
Oh, don't make me do that. Don't make me do that. But I will say, one of the companies I worked for abroad, it felt like the closest I've ever been to sex trafficked. Like that's, I won't lie. I won't lie. Like, getting set up and you're like, oh my God.
Was it called Taken?
No, right. If it were, it would have I would have gone to theme with it. You know what I mean? I would have went full Taken with it. But, no, but I won't name names, but I remember one of the times I worked, I would be thinking, I'm like, wow, nobody here speaks English. Okay.
I just got sold.
Did I get sold? What the hell happened to me?
You're versatile.
Yes, absolutely.
And as a versatile actor, what does a versatile actor do?
You know, versatile is hard because, you know, there's some people I really like to top for, and then there's certain people I really don't like to top for, and people I like to bottom for, and people I really don't like to bottom for. But it's really a vibe thing, and I'm really big on meeting actors beforehand as much as I can, like truly getting to have a conversation with people, because I'm not a violent top. Like, I'm not the classic kind of like beat you and spit in your face and call you a pig top. That's just not me. But when people act that way with me, ooh, like hard slap. The first hard slap, you notice me going from like, like deadpan.
So you don't like it? You're not
I'm a romantic type.
Okay.
I'm the kind of person, I'm like, when I bottom for someone, I'm offering you my body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I look you in the eyes. You know, I let you know, thank you so much for giving me this like gift.
Not only that, when it comes to bottoming, other than the fact that it's hard, in my opinion, it's fucking hard. Either you don't eat for a whole day or 2 days, depending if you're a model. Mm-hmm. I practice that, but then I've learned so much from bottoms on set, because I want to know, because I want to make sure that I do a good job, right? I'm not going to bottom for you unless you're special, because it's like plugging into a genius.
Yes.
So if you look at it that way, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, well, yeah, I want to do this for you. And it is special. You're absolutely right.
It teaches you about the way a man tops too. Like, one of the reasons I think some of the best kind of like tops are that way is they bottom well.
Yeah.
Like they know how it feels when someone's inside of them. They know how it feels when it goes like this. And I used to be only exclusively a bottom for a long time, and that's not a good idea when you have a big dick. But I had to learn, and I learned from like, you know what? I'm going to be conscious in this moment. I'm not going to pop her out. I'm going to be like, what is he doing? What feels good in this? You know what I mean? What are things that I do that he likes, and vice versa? So I know how to top really well because I was a really good bottom. And so I think it's a good way of kind of like giving yourself to another person. And I always thought bottoming was like a feminized role, but it's not.
Well, they stigmatize it as that.
Yeah, but you know, it's actually an extremely like masculine role.
And you have to be a real man.
You have to be a real man to offer yourself to another man. You do. It's like it's a sign of love and affection. It's like I like you.
Yeah.
Put yourself inside of me.
Yeah. Bring it in. So I got a chance to direct you in Who's My Baby Daddy?
I know I plugged myself before you even got a chance.
That was out of control. That was a great performance by you. That's when in my eyes you were like, okay, this is Joel Sumner. Like this is him. And you know, that in my opinion was not easy. You are a champ for doing that. 7 big black takes. Preparation.
I was excited too. I was so excited. That was my dream to have that gang fucking.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. You had mentioned that you also, well, in your biography or the stuff that you sent me, you've struggled with depression. You've struggled with a couple of things growing up. Do you want to share some of those?
Yeah. Part of my sex journey is that. Like, part of me doing porn and everything like that is me just trying to come to a full realization of things. You know, until I was 30 years old, I never felt like I was attractive. And this is not me plugging for compliments or anything like that. I know I am attractive. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
That's good. Yeah, you are.
But truly, I didn't like, and you know, this was kind of like becoming the swan kind of thing like that. I always thought I had to kind of like, I needed someone to kind of tell me I was beautiful and stuff. And one day I just decided I'd go for it. But I was also very prude. I was a person that was like very kind of like trying to be like modest and like keep heteronormative rules and create a family and be monogamous and all of that kind of stuff. And I just remember I was watching porn obsessively, and I was in a relationship that I was not happy in, and I would just watch porn all the time, and it meant so much to me that when I broke up with him, I had nothing. And I went through a really, really dark patch sexually in the New Mexico area. So if everyone in New Mexico, I probably fucked you already. So yes, I don't need to go back. But I did get into some really dark waters. Like I went full Treasure Island media. Like I was fucking dudes at truck stops, the arcades. I would go to like open air areas that like there was an airplane viewing area, and I would put on a show. Oh my God. To everyone else, trust me, it sat to porn people like, oh my God, that's so hot. But it was like really empty at the same time. I would do it and there was no purpose to it. And at the end, I'd be all alone. And that God hole in the center of my body, I would go fill with like a bucket of fried chicken, or like truly, I would go eat myself sick afterwards. And so it was really dark space. And I always knew that I wanted to do this. And so I started pursuing it from New Mexico, which is a very modest place to be a hooker. I will tell you right now. I love New Mexico, but it's a very modest place, and nobody's going to pay for a high class whore out there. They're just not, and they don't. So I started kind of traveling, and that's how I got used to the beat of kind of like traveling and escorting. And you get to meet amazing people. You really do. You get to meet people that you never thought in your wildest dreams you would ever meet, just because sex work isn't something insulting. It's not something that you should be ashamed of. That's just stigma.
The fact that you just said that, I've met a lot of escorts, right? So you're not only providing the service of, you know, whatever happens behind closed doors, but there's a longing or a need that people have. Do you feel that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we all want to be desired. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that's been really hard about like the porn industry and escorting is people don't realize sometimes you get escorts who have never actually really done much escorting. Mm-hmm. Like I started escorting. I started with kind of being with someone and just being so fucking grateful they were paying me. Like, you know what I mean? Like after fucking half of New Mexico and feeling really kind of empty, all of a sudden I was able to pay my student loans. All of a sudden someone was telling me at this moment, you're like, you know what? Thank you. What you're offering me, it's not going unnoticed. I know in this moment, it's not something I'm going to give you a ring, or I'm not going to kind of put you in a place where you need to be, but I'm grateful for the thing you were offering me. And that's what the payment, I guess, is. But, no, it's also that like, I give a little bit of myself, and I turn down people all the motherfucking time. I'm not one of those call boys.
Yeah, you're not one of those. That
no,
just
don't call me at
whoever.
3:00 in the morning. Annoyed that I don't party and da-da-da-da. And I won't be unkind to you. I'm not the type of person like, I'm just, you know, okay, no party and play. It says no party and play on my thing, all right? What the fuck? insult, insult, insult. No, I won't. It's the kind of thing that I get that in the moment. And also, I also remember not being in this industry. And I also remember making a fool of myself when I would try to connect with people that I had no concept of. Like, connecting with people in the porn industry when you don't is hard, because we have completely different kind of ideas of what things are and desires and stuff. And we are not just sex crazed people. But at the same time, since we portray ourselves out there, it's hard sometimes for people to have conversations with us where you're talking about stuff besides sex, because they don't know much about us besides sex. Like, one of the reasons this podcast is so important is you're hearing my voice on the ether. Like, you're getting to know the person I am, and I'm honored by that. Like, this is truly one of the reasons why I like working with you guys, is we have a conversation afterwards. We want to expand what this is.
Yeah. I've met some porn stars and some porn personalities that are just amazing. Like, the stuff that you would think, and I'm guilty of that too, because for a long time, I was just going through the motions, right? It didn't take until leaving Dark Alley in April to kind of look back and go on Twitter and see all of the work that people were loving that I was doing. I was just pumping stuff out, which is why, like, something like this is more my speed, because of the idea of people getting more than just, I thought it was just sex. I thought
you
people
humanize.
just wanted, exactly. People just wanted to jerk off to the stuff that you put out there. They don't give a shit about who you are. They don't. And then eventually, little by little, I started talking to people on Twitter and started watching what people were reposting. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I want to give a little more back, though. I want to make sure that people see so much more. And I've always been very model oriented. I work for a company, but I'm also the in-between person with the company and the models. And the models make the company. The companies might make the model. It works. It always works both ways. And why make that a shitty experience for anybody? I really do hope people do catch on and people start talking about the podcast, and I can continue doing this with models, because I think it's really cool. I think, from the moment I met you, I was like, okay, he's cool. Like, there's so much more. But I've also met people that are just sex.
Yeah.
That's all they think about.
Porn can be psychodrama. One of the reasons I like doing a lot of the incest and religious kind of theme stuff is it's psychodrama for people. It's them reaching into their head and trying to hit something that hurts and trying to make an understanding of it. You know what I mean? Like, I was assaulted in an arcade booth back in New Mexico a long time ago. And it was something I didn't understand for a really long time. And it was something that really hurt and really scared me. And it made me scared of a lot of things. It made me scared of disease, because the guy didn't use a condom on me. And at the same time, I came. There were so many layers to it. And there were so many reasons why I felt I was so responsible for it. And part of coming to New York is really getting to understand people who in the community, like the pause community and things like that. Because for the longest time, it meant meant pain, and it meant sorrow, and it didn't mean anything but that. And part of watching porn was really trying to me self-discover it. Like, seeing Treasure Island Media back in the day was like, wow, men can have bareback sex and not be absolutely terrified of it. You know what I mean? Because when I was younger, I didn't know how to get tested. I didn't know how to do any of that kind of stuff. So I just assumed. I assumed, since I had this instance that I had no control over, and I didn't stop in the moment, that's what happens. It happens to you. Yeah. And I would blow out candles every birthday, just being like, don't be positive. You know what I mean? And it's so much different now, because having people like us speak out is people really, really project themselves on us, and we mean something to them. And so it's, whenever you meet kind of actors that are really shitty to their fans and really kind of like demanding and have just weird expectations of people that have no concept of what our lives are, it makes me, that's what I find unattractive. I don't run into unattractive people. I run into really unattractive behaviors.
Wow. Good way to put it. What's something that everybody doesn't know about you that you'd like them to know?
Damn, that birthmark on my penis was a big one. I'm just kidding. That was a big one. I so respect porn as a platform. I'm originally an art major. I went to school and never finished my degree in studio arts with a focus on oil. I think porn is art. I've had famous playwrights and famous designers sit there and tell me that what I'm doing, it's not art. It's going to ruin your career, and you're going to hate your life in the end. And and it's going to mean nothing at the end, and people will look at you and think that you are nothing. And so it's not. 2 years in, I get to meet these amazing artists and amazing painters and amazing photographers and all of these people that are excited to meet me. And, I get to work with them and I get to collaborate with them, and I'm so lucky. You know what I mean? And this is something I would have never dreamed of when I was living in New Mexico and had nothing. And
make you art. Because did you see that? I saw one of your fans.
People send me, and people roll their eyes and they're like, okay, just so you know, he's using like totally just an iPhone app. And that does, but that's some thought saying that. Yes. I'm like, no, the point is I meant something to them. I meant something to them for them to put me as their phone, wallpaper or something like that. And even just to put this, it's kind of the same with drag queens. Like they always like to kind of diss on the girl with the crunchy hair. They're like, you just bought that wig. You just bought it. It's crunchy. You didn't do anything to it. But that's the first step. You know what I mean? The first step is you put yourself out there and you get better. And so all these people who are just using their apps and kind of sending me pictures and stuff, I'm grateful. Thank you for letting me be part of your day.
Yeah, thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah, I don't look at it from the quality point because I'm some fucking art student. I'm a failed art student. I'm an art student dropout, okay? I'm not going to go full kind of like art history on your ass about it. I'm like, just so you know, before iPhones, there was pen and paper and oil and brushes and bullshit. I'm not going to do that. Not going to diss somebody for putting themselves out there. Art is so hard. This has been wonderful. This has been a really wonderful conversation.
Good.
I really enjoyed it.
Good. On that note, is there anything else that you would like to add before we...
Follow my Twitter. Keep an eye on me. If you want to fuck me, ask a studio to hire me.
You've been watching Demystifying Gay Porn. I am your host, Ike Grande. Demystifying Gay Porn can be found on every podcast directory as well as YouTube. Demystifying Gay Porn is on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Telegram. If you like what you're watching and want to be a part of the process, head over to patreon.com/demystifyinggayporn, where you can help this YouTube channel and I can continue making content like this. Once again, this is Demystifying Gay Porn. My name is Ike Grande, and if you watch gay porn, I've definitely helped to get off. Cheers.